All right, let's get things started. Hello, I see somebody has joined. Welcome to the stream. We are
From the
loading up
first
a D&D
stirrings
game.
of life
You're
beneath
going to be
water
playing as
to the
Ramses
great
the
beasts
Second.
of the
So
Stone
this
Age,
one is a very
to
good
man
culture civ,
taking his first
and it's
upright
very much
steps,
focused on
you have come
infrastructure
far.
building. So early
Now
game, you want to
begins
try
your
to get
greatest
yourself set up with
quest.
some monuments,
From
start
this early
stacking some
cradle
of
of
that extra
civilization
culture
on
benefit early
towards the
on,
stars.
as well as trying to get yourself
Ramesses,
set up with some early game
Pharaoh
cities,
of the
so
black
that way you
land
can
and the
start
red,
spreading faster, get that
beloved
culture
like
bonus.
Horus,
The earlier you can start
your
gaining a lot of
imperious
culture,
face
the easier
gazes
it'll be
out
to
across.
eventually start developing cultural pressure and go from there. Okay, so we have an interesting spawn location here. So I think a good spawn location would be this 4 food tile right here. Because either way, when we settle up the city, we are going to be getting 1 production regardless. This will be a better tile to be worked later on, whereas this is a better passive tile to be settling onto. So I'm going to go ahead and let's settle up here. So we'll start here, start working on that era score. Take a look over here. I have some water nearby, so we can set up potentially, I can see here, a good bit of desert location. We're going to start with a very specific combo. In deity runs, in higher difficulty runs, one of the best things you could do is set yourself up with this right here as a scout, just to start. And what you could do afterwards, if you need to, is you could do one of 3 things. You could do a slinger afterwards, a warrior, you could do another scout, or you can go for a monument if you're in a really safe spot. But in deity and high difficulties, it's a lot safer to always try to focus on setting up specifically a type of military unit, because most of the time you're going to be spawning nearby another civilization, and civilizations in the early game are typically going to be very unfriendly unless you meet Gilgamesh. Then Gilgamesh is what I call, and many others in the Civ community call Gilgabro, where he is just a super cool dude. He's friendly right off the bat. Okay, so in terms of technologies, I think the first thing we can go ahead and take a look at in terms of options is particularly we're going to think about, okay, what's going to make sense for our build. So we are, again, going to be a cultural type civ, so we're going to have to think about what works here. So here's a type of mod available. This is the greenery mod, if I'm not mistaken. And there's some other options that we'll have to think about. So animal husbandry is something we're going to want to consider early on. I can see that we have some good irrigation places here. 2 spots for irrigation is pretty good. We're eventually going to want to think about wonders as well, so maybe potentially consider something like a hanging garden to start things off would be a good option. So getting irrigation would be good just for that. We could potentially do a theater square here, get that going as well. We could do, let's see here, built on floodplains or marsh. Adamananki could be pretty useful. Get that double wonder set up. This is a bit risky to try to build both. You're going to want to try to build one at a time if you can, especially early game. We're also going to think about other cities to settle into. So this position's kind of limited. There aren't that many places, so we're going to have to think about settling up on a desert city and eventually making that good. With our scout here that we're going to be making, what we want to be doing is consider trying to get ourselves set up. Actually, let's go pottery so we can get that irrigation started. I want to try to make a push for hanging gardens. Getting that extra housing is very good. Increased growth by 15% in all cities. That's a very good thing, especially getting that extra bit of tourism. That would help us. So let's go ahead and get into turn 2 here, and we'll get set up. Let's take a look here. This looks fairly safe. So that's good to know. We want to keep an eye on potential barbarian camp spawns. In a very early game, barbarian camps can be very much of an issue, so you want to try to position yourself in a way that you can deal with them. Hopefully we get lucky and get something good out of that goody hut. Tribal villages, we call them goody huts. Typically with tribal villages, I would say one of the best things you could do is trying to get yourself set up, particularly in a position where early game, if you get 1 or 2 or 3 goody huts, at least one of them will give you something decent. So we should see something potentially decent. It's either going to be a builder, a scout, a relic, some gold. Could be a boost of some kind. Void Singers. And let's see here. That gave us a little bit of gold, so honestly, not too bad. In terms of gold, obviously, right now, can't really buy much. We can buy land. So if we want to grow population really quickly, a safe option typically is going to be a tile that you could work and get production out of. So this is one that I would say I recommend buying early on. This is going to provide us more value than a tile like this. This is a good tile. This is a good tile. That's a better tile because we get some passive production by working a citizen here. So we can see our populations too. Both of them are working here. We're going to be gaining population pretty quickly here. So that's what you want. You want a high population city early on. You want to focus on that population growth. I'm eventually going to set up a settler. That won't be a major priority right now, but it is going to be eventually pretty useful. Governor titles. Void Singer is not really a good one for the way we're trying to play this particular game. We are going to want something that's going to benefit us later on, eventually for culture. So I would say, especially with economic policy slots, Owls of Minerva is typically a better option. So that's going to play a little bit better into our hands. So, but for now, though, because we have a free governor title, we're going to want to think about what's going to play well for our position. We could start off by getting Pingala, get that librarian bonus, 15% increase in science and culture generated in the city. That will help us along a little bit, kind of just get us moving. That's always useful. Another option is if we can find some city-states soon, that's another thing we could potentially use our money for. I would say for now, let's go ahead and set up Bengala. That's always a safe option. Especially if you're in a culture game, you want to go ahead and start getting that kind of set up earlier. Another thing to keep in mind, though, is typically, positionally, if you are in the early game and you're in an isolated position, you can make the decision to get something like Pingala. If you're in a position where potentially, say, there's a contested area and there's other civilizations very, very close and they're going to be pushing you, Victor is a better option because of the defensive fortification bonuses. So if we go here and take a look, garrison strength by 5, and he can establish very quickly. So that means, for example, your capital, instead of 13 strength, will have 18. So that'll just make it a little stronger, especially once you start getting military units in there. That'll start buffing the city a little bit. So that gives it a little bit of strength. I can see somebody has joined, so welcome aboard. Anshan. This is an interesting one. It's an okay city-state. It's not great, but it's not bad. As you start filling in, for example, later in the game, a bunch of great works and start getting that set up and developed, these will help quite a bit. Artifacts, not too bad, particularly the great works of writing. This can be very useful, so not a bad thing to find. And we get the bonus for seeing them first. So we get a little science, so not too bad. Go ahead and make our way down. This looks like a good settlement location, so 1, 2, 3, 4. So we're going to go ahead and set up a settlement right over here. This is an excellent spot. We'll set up a mine here as well. This would be a very, very nice mine. All right. And let's see here. So that's a good spot. We'll go ahead and set up another theater square here. We'll kind of think about what else is going to work positionally. I do want to try to be focusing on culture a little bit as well. Science will be useful. One thing here in this particular city, I could see this is a decent spot potentially. If we decide, let's see here, we don't chop that. I need to see what's over here. If that happens to be a good spot over there, then what we could do is potentially place down a campus there, and that could be helpful. Let's make our way down south. All right, no, this is a very good city spawn. Wow, that's a good one. Okay. So we're going to eventually want to set up a scout. So now that we know that this is pretty isolated, we can go ahead and get started on a settler. We're still a little ways away from getting Code of Laws, however, so it's not the end of the world. It's just not the best situation when it comes to growth. But we do want to try to get that settler out and about a little early. So this tells me, ooh, chocolate. So this is a very, very good luxury resource to have. Spices is better, but chocolate's not bad. All right, we are going to make our way north here. I want to go ahead and take a look around just to see if there's anything else around us. We're already at 3 populations, so our population's looking pretty good in the capital. We're eventually want to make sure that we keep ourselves happy with amenities that will help us long-term with growth. We can see that we are working very good population tiles, so we're in a great spot there, and our natural growth is going to kind of point us towards that, so that's good. You always want to be trying to get that early population growth. It gives you more pressure to work with. So if we were to go to the loyalty tab, which I think is, let's see, 8, we could see here that we've got plenty of loyalty. So 28. And as we get more population, that's eventually going to be better for us because we settle up more cities. If there's opponents nearby, this will help us develop a little bit more pressure and just make it a little more safe for us. Let's go ahead and cross the river here. Cross that river. Pangala is established, so we can see that we get a little bit more science and a little bit more culture, so that is a pretty good way for us to start. Move our way over. I'm going to go ahead and check Anshan. No one else has met Anshan, so that's a good thing for us. That tells us that there's not likely to be anyone over there. That means there's more likely to be somebody in the west. We are on the north edge of the map, so if we were to hold the left alt key and then drag the left mouse button, we can see we can kind of rotate this a little bit. This is a good way for us to get information around this area. So we can see here we are pretty far north.
Several close.
We have seen the wonder Torres El Pen. Let's see here. Torres del Pen. 2-tile impassable wonder. Doubles the adjacent yields for tiles. This is good for those northern tiles. So that's pretty useful. Alright, so this could be good. There may be potentially a good tile or two over there, so we could use that to our advantage. We do want to be trying to make sure we focus on that irrigation. So once we get that settler going, we'll be in a good spot. Let's go ahead and get set up on the settler. Let's try to push a little bit on that. Try to get that faster. Let's see. Is that one turn? That is one turn. Okay. Yeah, that's going to be one turn less, but that's 2 turns faster. So we're going to actually be getting a benefit of that. So that's good for us. Okay. Could cross here. Make our way over on the north. I want to go ahead and actually start getting to these waters over here. Interesting. Looks like potential coastal tiles here. It looks like a little bit of water here with that craggy area. Is this a lake? It is a lake. Okay, so that's actually a good thing. A lake means that we can settle up some lake wonders. So, for example, we could settle up, if we want, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Settle up a city here. City center. Let's see. Could potentially consider, where is it? Uiteo Cali. Be a nice option as well. So that would be good. That'll be a good thing for us to set up. This area right there could be a good theater square location to work with. So we're kind of trying to build around these theater squares. So we're thinking about our positions. So kind of recapping with Ramses. Ramses, his abilities pertains to getting set up with a lot of culture. So building a lot of these buildings and getting things set up will eventually help us get set up a little faster. Also, that 30% culture equal to the production of a wonder is very, very good. So that's why I'm also trying to push for that. By getting population, we'll be able to push our way. Aha! So what I just saw was that barbarian in the north. So we're going to go ahead and finish up over here and make our way to the east. Tells me that we are going to actually need to make our way to the north here. Get ready to defend this area because barbarians will become an issue if we let them be. I see somebody has joined. Welcome. Magnus is a good one. Hi, Jack. So Magnus is a good one, but in this particular build, unless you are trying to do multiple chops, Magnus isn't going to have a lot of utility. So in this case, you are typically, in order to do chops, you're going to require builders. And in the early game, based off the cost of turns, builders are pretty high cost. It takes a little time to get a builder set up. The second part of it is because it takes a little time, that's opportunity cost taken away from other things, like, for example, setting up a settler. Getting another city early on could be quite useful. The thing about deity and the higher difficulties is that because you start with one city, the AI will typically start with 2 to 3 cities, and deity it will be 3 cities, as well as a series of other buffs. So you want to try to set up another city or two fairly early on and start setting up bonuses to actually start coming back against the AI. And so in this case here, the chops that you'll be trying to get eventually are going to be useful. But the thing is that the cost of setting up chops, unless you're in a very, very good area that's set up for that, you can do that. But in this case, there aren't that many places for me to use chops for, maybe here or here or here. But the problem is that this area isn't a terribly high yield area. Yeah, so tundra in the north and desert in the south is a bit unlucky. I'm kind of going to go with it because in this case, I just want to kind of go with the challenge. And in situations like this, while this seems pretty bad, this area could be made useful a little bit. So settling up potentially a city over here. So this is 4 tiles away. So if I were to settle up a city over here, and if I made, for example, let's see, if I go harbor here, theater square here, and then a Petra here, this area actually could be pretty useful. So this whole area could be very, very powerful for us because there may be quite a few desert hills. And if you set up mines on those desert hills, as you go through the later game, mid game, later game, and so on, what'll happen is that you'll be eventually getting more bonuses. So we could take a look here actually for that example. Apprenticeship, for example, is the first one. You can see here that +1 production to the mine improvement. Your mines on these desert tiles will be extremely powerful on top of getting the additional food. Let's see here. I think it's food, gold, and production. Yep, on all desert tiles. So that'll eventually be quite useful. Uh, Typically, pyramids I wouldn't push for. And the reason is typically AI in this game, there are quite a few wonders that the AI actually will push for very, very, very commonly. Pyramids, etymology, they tend to go for secondarily hanging gardens. I like to try to, if I'm going for like a culture civ or a civ where I need to push out population in cities early, hanging gardens is a good one to get early on. Stonehenge tends to get taken pretty early on, so I'm not really too interested in a culture, or not culture, sorry, a religious push. I'm eventually going to be setting holy sites up just for faith generation, but that's later on. So in this case, we take a look here. No one's been recruited. No one's got any points for anything yet, so that's a good thing for me. But yeah, so pyramids typically tends to not be the best option in this case. Now, however, in most early game situations, when you are trying to pick your government policy slots, always, unless you already have natural faith generation, like say, for example, a faith generating civ, like with certain abilities, or if you get insanely lucky, you get a relic, always pick God King. Always pick Discipline. This is an incredibly useful one. And then eventually, once you get yourself set up with the Pantheon, you can take off God King and put on Urban Planning. But for now, God King, until you get to 25, 26 faith points to unlock a Pantheon, that is always a better option. We didn't get too lucky with that particular, because a little earlier, right about over here, we did have a spot. Yeah, God King is pretty OP in the early game. That's always something I recommend people use is God King in the beginning. That's a concern. I'm going to go ahead and do this, though, because they're going to try to attack me, most likely. What I'll do is, because they're going to be getting that debuff, you can see here, if you try to attack across the river, you'll see that +5 river defense. We actually will have a significant debuff against us. Now, if we fortify, and they try to attack us, once we see the little fortification sign, this little shield icon right here, oh, worries, fell. So once you see the shield icon right here, this basically means you're fortified. So if they don't attack and they stay fortified, great. I can sit right here, have them potentially try to attack me, and that becomes a pretty good opportunity for me to bring up this warrior here, eventually into this area, and bring that into a spot that's got utility. So we're at 4 population here, so that's good. We have 6 turns away until settler is available. We are going to be setting up our second city right here. This will be a good spot right here. We can see here, kind of vaguely, you've got a 3 food tile, along with another 3 food tile right here to work. So as soon as we get that city running, that's the first thing we'll be doing, is focusing on that, and eventually setting up in this position. Okay, so let's do a little bit of planning ahead. So we've got set up here, we've got 2 cities here, we got a city here. So this looks good. Eventually, you could be setting up a northern city. Not many cities in the north are going to be very useful. The only time I would say I would want to do that is if I'm setting up a mid-game city with St. Basil's Cathedral, and that is quite a bit later on over here. And this is a great wonder for that. But for now, it's not really going to be useful, especially because you have to really commit a lot of your turns to that. So this is where we want to be careful. We can see here that they're going to be spawning warriors and units. We want to try to bring this unit over as soon as possible. That is going to be a bit of a concern. Mountains are indeed very, very good for campus. So we can see that +1 here. Typically, in this position, I wouldn't want to chop right away because if I'm going to chop, I need to make sure I plan specific utility from the production I'd be chopping out. And again, it also requires a builder. I typically don't go for a great start for Canada. Yes, actually a very, very good start for Canada, because if you started and moved up a little bit, a lot of these tiles here could very much set up a bunch of good farms. Canada's intrinsic ability for setting up farms here can be extremely powerful, especially if you're trying to get early population. The only downside is the cost of building those builders. However, once you have them, and if you can get set up eventually by getting a serfdom card, which is a little bit further into the mid game, it's let's see here, it is feudalism right here. And you'll see here, eventually getting the 2 extra build actions. That's a very good one to have set up. Because then eventually you can get 5 charges. If you get lucky and you get the pyramids, you'll have 6. And you'll eventually start being able to stack up more and more. A couple turns away from irrigation. You want to be careful here. So I'm going to go ahead and take a promotion here. And what we'll do is eventually kind of set ourselves up to get out of here. We're going to try to stay fortified, keep ourselves safe. Even if that scout dies, it's not the end of the world. It's kind of taking some damage, and it's also weakening the spearmen covering this barbarian camp, which is kind of the more concerning thing. If we can get rid of that barbarian camp, that'll be a good thing for us.
Thousands have lived without...
Keep making our way north. Make our way out of there. So we have escaped that, which is good. So let's see here. Bring this up north. So, okay, so little tidbit about barbarian scouts. So when there is a specific barbarian camp that they are attached to or associated to, if you get rid of the barbarian camp, what happens is the scout unit here will essentially go into a mode called Berserk, and they'll just attack the nearest units that they can find. And so basically, like say for example, I have a unit over here and I just got rid of that, they will actually try to attack us. And so you can take advantage of that. And by setting up a fortifying unit over here, they'll just basically auto-attack you in many cases. And it just becomes a basically pretty free way to get a little bit of XP and also just get rid of a scout. You want to try to get rid of these if you can. Another thing as well is in this position, since we have irrigation, we're going to go ahead and place down the hanging gardens. We're going to get started on that. So we'll go ahead and place that. Auto-delete map tags. This is also including quite a few different mods as well, so it is a good thing for us to have. We can see here a few different mods available. City states, report screen, trade screen. There are a few others as well. Let's see here. Detailed map packs. This is one that I always recommend to people, especially playing on PC, is go to the Steam Workshop and download some of those essential utility or UI type mods. They provide a lot of benefits. This is how you can see this. You can, normally, if you're a base game, you would be able to see not the numbers. You would just see the icon for example, like a theater square. But with detailed map tags, you can actually set up a lot of your area with this, and you can see the extra culture bonuses that you would potentially or prospectively get. So it just becomes a very, very useful thing. In our position now, we're going to go ahead and think about potentially a holy site. No one else is getting into a holy site, so getting an early religion could actually be an option. I might go ahead and do that, actually, because if nobody else is really heavily pushing for religion, that could be beneficial. That would put us in a good spot as well. Gardens tend to be very, very good. There is a mod available that kind of coincides with this. As well is, for example, basically what will happen is if you build a garden in the city, you cannot build a preserve district, which is a normal base game type of district. However, this is a mod district. It is a very fun district, and I'll eventually, when I'm in a better position to, I'll go ahead and showcase that a little bit. For now, I'm going to focus on this settler. I do want to try to get this settler out and about. This is a pretty safe area anyways, based off the proximity here. That is not a good thing, so I'm going to have to be careful about that. So I'm actually going to need to bring that scout south and secure this area. So I need to do that. Bring this warrior up north. Try to deal with this if we can. Unfortunately, the barbarians are very spammy in the early game. They tend to spawn in more than one number. They spawn in 1 kajillion at this point, is typically in the early game. They will spawn very, very quickly. So it could be a big problem. Make our way down south. We're going to try to beeline to this area. We want to try to secure this area. First, scout out and see how close the barbarians are. Again, as a scout, you have more visual range. So based off Fog of War, the barbarians here will not be able to see very far unless they have a scout there. They can see within 2. You can see, I think it's 3 with a scout. So you can see quite a bit further. If you're on a hills tile, it becomes even better. You have maximum visual range. So it becomes very, very helpful. Let's go ahead and get this set up here. We're going to go ahead and fortify. And the reason we're going to fortify here is because we are surrounded on lakes. And this position here, you can see that we're going to have a debuff to our strength here. Besides the damaged unit, we would actually see the damaged, not the damaged unit, the +5 river defense. Kajillion, well, it's not a scientific term, unfortunately, so it's not quantifiable exactly. But I would say typically in this context, if you're in an early game situation and you just leave a barbarian camp to do whatever it wants, it'll continue every couple turns, every turn to 2 turns, just spawning another unit. Like, and they'll do that for quite a few turns. So you'll just have like 7 or 8 barbarians coming after your capital, which I've had happen before, and it's really, really annoying. It can actually, it'll ruin an early game very often. So it is something I recommend people trying to avoid at all costs. So you can see here, by getting on top of this hill, you can actually see that I have that 3 visual range, and that's a very nice thing to have available. So especially Fog of War, early game, gives you plenty of utility. I am trying to build a warrior. I want to get a backup warrior. And so Jack, if you wanted to see the example of a kajillion, that's a kajillion. That, my friend, that, my friend, is a kajillion right there. And so, okay. Unfortunately, when this happens, you have 2 options. You try to tough it out, or you do the sensible thing, and you run away. Remember, in the early game, anytime barbarians start coming up onto your capital city, barbarians, under no circumstances in this case, can take your capital city. They can bring it to 0 health, and say another AI, like an actual opponent, an actual character, can go over and try to attack you and then take your capital. However, if you settle up another city, any other city that is not your capital, and that you set up eventually, for example, and gets attacked by barbarians, can and will be destroyed. It won't be taken by barbarians, it will simply be destroyed. Same thing with city-states as well. So just a key note there, just be careful about that. You can use this to your advantage, however. If you bring your warrior over to your capital here, defend and keep it safe, what'll actually happen, that's kind of funny, is you could just basically infinitely defend your capital from barbarians, get a bunch of XP on your warriors, as I will be showing here, eventually get this one to level 1, take the battle cry promotion, give us an extra +7 combat strength, and we'll actually be getting some pretty strong warriors out of this, and then we'll use that to get set up here. All right. One thing we eventually want to do is, if we're going to continue having barbarian issues for quite a while, eventually, once we want to get mines, we can eventually get set up here with Marianu chariot archers. These are actually really strong. They can actually be very useful because you get a lot of, on flat land, you get 4 range, as well as getting and 4 range meaning movement range. And then also you have just 1 range attack that you could be doing per turn, which is very useful because it means you don't actually have to take any damage for that turn. So it's very nice to have. As we can see here, barbarians are annoying. So if we go here, we're going to fortify the city. You can see here we just got a little bit more defensive strength. That went up to 19, so that's what you want. Now in this position, we're going to be setting ourselves up in this position here. Aha! So Anshan did a very good thing for us. They got rid of that barbarian camp. That's good for me. That means I'm in a good spot here. So I'm going to go ahead and start fortifying this scout. Get some health back on the scout. Because I'm going to want to go ahead and eventually bring the scout once we settle up a city. I'm going to start bringing them to the west. See what's around here. I want to see if we can try to find another city-state if we can. If we can, ideally, try to find a, I would say, an economic city-state would be great right about now. We do have a good bit of gold, so we can go ahead and in this case, we could eventually afford to buy soon here. I would say a builder wouldn't be too bad. I would say the next thing I would want to do is consider a holy site. So let's see here. I'm just going to go ahead and get that going. We're first going to focus on, let's actually get hanging gardens going. I'm actually going to continue going on that. I meant to do that a little earlier, but that's okay. And we're going to fortify this up. I am fine with their warrior here, kind of tanking some of the hits because that is actually going to potentially be useful. However, I do not want them dying because a lot of those city-states losing a lot of units could be a problem if AI decides to, AI meaning the opponents, try to come up on them and see they don't have anything to defend with. Options. I would say right now, based off our needs, we're going to want to think about potentially getting set up into an archer, because if we can get an archer or two, that would be pretty useful. I'm going to save the rest of our gold now. I want to try to get a slinger if we can. We're going to go from there. So let's go ahead and make our way over. Get the second city. Moderate flood, not a problem. Did it fertilize any tiles? It did nothing. Okay, so it did nothing. That is unfortunate because I was actually hoping it would do something. We'll do this. 4 XP is very, very good. That is going to be a dead unit in just a moment here, unfortunately. Alright, so let's settle up here. Awesome. So there is our second city. So first priority when you're typically making other cities is you want to think about, besides your district planning. So for example, we can see here, not a lot of good utility from a district standpoint. What is going to have utility though is particularly setting up monument early on. We're going to have 5 housing here, so we have plenty of housing to work with. We're going to focus on food growth. Early city development, you always want to go for food growth. You want to try to get population, so for 2 reasons. You want to get population for loyalty pressure, and you want to get population because the more you fill in on a lot of these areas, the more utility that you'll be able to get just from that one city alone. So it becomes very useful to try to set up your cities and get going. Again, not too worried. We're going to go ahead and let's see here. Set up here. Awesome. There we go. We have a promotion available. We're going to go ahead and do what's a bit of a trick with Civilization 6. And I'm going to go ahead and showcase it here. It's a very, very basic trick. What you do is you fortify, and you can actually cancel the fortification while the fortification is still present. It doesn't actually really cancel, which is kind of weird. And you take Battlecry. Battlecry is a fantastic one. So you can see here we have 30 combat strength now. So this is excellent for us. It's going to give us a lot of utility. We're also going to need to try to continue focusing on that hanging garden. So we want to try to get that as soon as possible. So take a look here. Is there anything? We buy any high production tiles? That's a little expensive, as is that. Unfortunately, not many tiles that are going to be very close to us proximity-wise. So fortunately, not going to be getting that. So we're going to have to just make do with that. So not the end of the world, but just something we'll have to work with. Okay. In terms of the city on the south here, we're going to go ahead and actually make our way to the west here. This is plenty of health, so we're in a good spot there. You have Netamar. Okay. No. I don't want them pigs. Really getting involved with their capital, ideally. Also, we need to get rid of that. That's going to get hit a little bit. We could just bring that back, but we want to try to get rid of those slingers if we can. Now that we have animal husbandry, let's go ahead and actually just do a little search here. Horses. Okay, we were unlucky. Awesome. This has been a very unlucky start. This is fine. This is fine. Okay. What we could do here is we can go ahead and think about, let's see here. We can think about a couple of options. Mainly, I am going to continue focusing on the Hanging Gardens because that'll help us long term. Uh, do do do. Second city's looking good. We're getting that population growth, so that's good. I may have to consider getting a builder set up because setting up mining could be an option. 7 gold per turn is good. However, I could do... Actually, easier way. Forgot I've got the quick deals mod. There we go. 138 gold right off of the rip. And then what we're going to go ahead and do is kind of think about our position. We have a couple of good options. We could either buy a builder here. We could also buy a military unit or two. Honestly, I'm going to go ahead and do that. I'm gonna go ahead and do that. Builders are nice, but I would actually say right now getting a slinger could be extremely helpful to kind of deal with that issue. Because,
Skill
yeah,
without
that's a lot of
imagination
barbarians.
is craftsmanship, and gives
Let's
us
see
many
here.
useful objects, such as
Craftsmanship is
wickerwork
available,
picnic baskets.
so that is good. Still, unfortunately, not in a position to take off God King. So we're going to have to leave that for now. Going to go here, move that down. Hit that, just so we get utility out of that. Move to the side. We have met Lahore. We were not the first to meet them, so that's good to know. Lahore is not a bad one. Nihang units eventually could be useful if you're, like, say, a military type civilization, but for me, it's really not. So, not a problem. Okay. Main thing as well is you want to keep in mind is barbarians will stop your production for something that you're building if they actually get set up on top of that tile. They'll cancel your production, so you can't really do anything for a bit. What you want to do is typically protect a certain area. We're going to go ahead and go into colonization, though. We're also eventually, let's see here, actually, that's 23 turns. Government Plaza. Government Plaza is a good one. Yeah, Government Plaza is good. Also, the Corvée is going to be useful because we're eventually going to need that. Alright, what we'll do here is we're going to go here, kill a unit. That won't be able to kill us. We'll be okay. It won't be hurt, but definitely okay. And explore this desert. This desert looks pretty large, so there's quite a bit happening in the north here, not too much in the south. It's good to know that there is likely a civilization somewhere over in this area, either here or here. It looks like probably over here. But settling up a second city here is good. That's going to give us a little bit of territorial control. This region here looks really solid. And I see somebody else has joined. Welcome to the stream. This area looks really solid for potentially, I would say, like a preserve. I would say it would be pretty insane. Let's go ahead and take a look at the appeal. Appeal is actually naturally not bad. Yeah, these are all charming. Yeah, charming 2, charming 2, charming 3 on that other one, charming 3. Oh, yeah. No, 100%. A preserve would be great here. So we're going to go ahead and set that up. We'll do a city center here. We'll do a preserve. I want to showcase the preserve because the preserve is very good from just a raw yield standpoint. Raw yields can be very good as you go into the mid-game. So that looks good. Starting to fend off this barbarian threat, so I'm pretty happy with that. That's a good thing for us. Okay, Hanging Gardens got taken. That is always a lovely thing. Unmet player has taken that, so we're just going to focus on holy sites. Georgia is focusing on great profits, so we're just going to use that production on the holy site. So I was mentioning before, welcome, another person has joined. Welcome to the stream. Unfortunately, that holy sites, not holy sites, the Hanging Gardens is typically a target, so that's why I wanted to try to get that. Did get taken, which is unlucky, so that is what it is. I'm actually going to go ahead and attack with this unit. I want to try to get them 1 XP level. 1 XP level can be very useful. Ah, no worries. All right, so we're going to go to fortify here with this unit. And let's take a look here. Let's see. Awesome. So this area looks very, very good for securing this spot. So that's good for me. Let's take a look down south. Tamar is also taking a look down in this area. They do have Susanti, looks like. No, they're just putting in Tamar. Okay, so it's good to know. And we've already fulfilled the boost for that, so we're good to go there. Eventually, when we get that that extra envoy, we are going to place an envoy into Anshan to get suzerainty. Suzerainty of that would be nice, just for the sake of getting diplomatic favor, because a civilization like Tamar is going to value diplomatic favor. Key little note here. Until you get to the medieval era, save up your diplomatic favor and try to sell it to the highest bidder. The AI will value and also really, really want to buy it off of you for a significant amount of gold. You can use that in a kind of cheesy way, as hopefully we can find some other civilizations and start getting diplomatic favor. And I can show you a bit of a trick that we use in the early game to take advantage of that. The AI have a lot of buffs against you in the early game, so
When you find
anything you
yourself
can
in
do
a
to get
hole,
buffs against them is good. Also, we have gotten some fertilization. 6 tiles gain fertility. That is perfect. Welcome, Angelo, to the stream. All right, so 6 tiles gain fertility. This is excellent. So this is a very good setup for us. So 4 food, 1 production. This area has gotten a little bit of production. It looks like that one did as well, so that's good. This area did. Good, so that's not bad. This area has become better. That's something we're going to use. Edamanaki is nice. However, I have a feeling it's probably going to be taken. So we're going to have to just make do with that. I am going to go for writing because in this position, I am going to want to go ahead and start moving into the tech tree a little bit. Particularly, we want to try to get into Petra. So I'm going to make a push for Petra, especially because a Petra city here would be insanely good. Thieves looking like Chicago after this flood. Yo, it kind of does in this case. Holy. Completely gone. Alright, so we're going to move up north now. Our units are fairly healed up, so we're going to move up a little bit. Move up and move up. Good, so that's pretty weak. It's good intel for us. I'm actually going to move south of this river. I want to take a look over here. This area looks really large, and there could be potentially something of value there. So let's go ahead and take a look at it. Indeed, game over for Thebes. What we'll do is we're going to move up here and do half damage and destroy it. Now that we're on the same side, the reason I did it that way is, besides weakening it for free, basically getting a free weakening, is slingers on just any range unit like this is extremely weak against melee units. So melee units are always going to have a lot of benefits. So you could just immediately beeline that. This has like 1 HP. So we can see here that, yeah, that's going to die no matter what. That's very weak. And now that we're on the same side as this barbarian camp, we can actually take advantage of that and start making our way over. Thank you, Em. Yeah, I've played Civilization for a little while, so I'm fairly comfortable with it. So if you do have any questions, feel free to ask. Okay, now that we're on the south end of this, we're going to go ahead and start taking a look here. This looks like a potentially decent area. The floodplains here tell me that as this floods more, this area is going to be useful. So I may actually consider 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so this right here, excellent, excellent spot for a city to set up. We're going to go ahead and think about some things we want to set up here. So I would say right here. I would say theater square here and commercial hub would be pretty good. Yeah, crossbowmen are fantastic. Takes a little while. Unfortunately, they are kind of on a weird part of the tech tree. They're pretty down low here, but they're very, very useful. I would say it depends. So typically map techs in a game like Civilization 6, especially in higher difficulties, so as you can see here in deity difficulty, one of the things that's really useful, as being able to plan out. See, the AI in the higher difficulties get a ton of benefits. They get a bunch of extra science percentage, extra culture, they get gold, they get a large military. They start with like 4 or 5 warriors or something like that. They start with 3 settlers, so they can start with 3 cities right off the bat. They get a bunch of benefits. However, what they can't do is they cannot plan. They do not have the capacity in this game to plan. So you can take advantage of that. And to take advantage of that, we can also use a few different mods. And so there are a bunch of these UI mods available. This is called the Detailed Map Tax mod. And so you can go to the Steam Workshop and download that. And this will allow you to do exactly that. You can see the adjacency bonuses. So you can take a look here and hovering over that. So if I were to build a harbor here, you can take a look and see the +2 gold from adjacent city center. That's right here. And then the adjacent district. So typically you need 2 districts in order to provide a +1 bonus for this. So you want to kind of try to build concentrically and build multiple, typically in most cases, you want to try to build multiple districts along your city center because you can get those adjacency bonus. So you can see here, that's a +3. If I were to build that like over here, say in this spot right here, this would be a +1. So it just becomes a utility situation. Is how do you try to maximize utility? The more gold and the more yields that you can get, the better off you'll be as you go through a game, especially because say a game takes 200 turns. If for 160 turns you have an extra 2 gold per turn, that's 320 extra gold that you would not have gotten otherwise. So those are definitely helpful. Oh yeah, no worries. Well, you have a good one, and anytime you have any questions, feel free to ask or join. All right, so making our way up north here. So that warrior is pretty dead, so we're good there. We are going to be moving the slinger across. We want to try to bring them on the other side of the river, and the reason is because melee units that have to attack across are going to get debuffed, and this will be a little bit safer. So this will just give us a bit of a benefit. So we want to try to take advantage of that. 2 turns away from the holy site, so Georgia is the only other person trying to go for holy sites, so that's good for me to know. Is anybody... Okay, so nobody has built Stonehenge yet, so that's good for me to know. Ethiopia is a bit of a problem. Honored to meet you, sample your hospitality. As I was saying, that Stonehenge got built, so unfortunate. We are going to fortify here. I am not going to bring this unit forward. I do not want to do that. So as I expected, there was going to be a civilization nearby, and it was right here, so that's good to know. We do want to try to eventually push cities in the west. So as we get set up here, getting a holy site and getting a couple things going, we are going to need to consider eventually getting a settler. It would help us a good bit. Let's see here. That looks good so far. Population is important. Once you get to 3 population, we will eventually focus on more production, but for now, it's not a problem. Let's see here. I'll go ahead and turn. All right. Keep that fortified. We will do the volley promotion. Because if that unit goes here, that becomes a really easy attack for us that we could defend with. What'll happen, that's why I never bother with Stonehenge. Yeah, or Stonehenge. Yeah, so the reason for that is, as I mentioned a bit earlier, is the AI, there's like a good 5 or 6 wonders that the AI almost always goes for. It's very rare that certain wonders don't get taken. So starting early game, Great Bath gets taken a lot. So that can be checked off your list. Edamanaki, usually taken. Hanging Gardens, in this case, as of course we saw, gets taken. Stonehenge got taken. Pyramids will get taken. In a lot of cases, it's extremely difficult to try to build certain early game wonders. If you get lucky, and I got a really kind of unfortunate kind of spawn location. The spawn location for the city itself is great, but everything around it is very, very weak and needs to be worked on in order to be very good. So it's a very slow early game. So that's why I'm trying to work through it, because this is kind of a representative idea of how a lot of early games will look. For a lot of players, this is kind of a normal thing. You're just going to be getting a lot of these kind of not so great spawns, and you kind of just have to kind of either deal with it or try to roll for a better world. So that's coast. So that's good to know. That tells me this continent ends here. And that is coastline right there as well. So this kind of ends somewhere maybe over here, it looks like. So that's good to know. So we have a pretty good sized island. We do want to try to settle up potentially that city here. We can settle up that city here if it's a good spot. I'm actually going to go around here. I might go around back over here. And I would want to see if I can settle up a city here. Because that would be actually really good.
Writing means share.
There's writing. Let's go ahead, head over here. All right, so what we're going to do here is we are going to actually do this. We are going to go back one and back one. The AI cannot attack us this turn, and we have initiative. So what we'll do is we'll be able to heal up a little bit. If that unit pushes, we can attack them. If that unit pushes, we can attack them. Gives us a little bit of utility, and it also gives us some protection to work with. We are going to need to get this last warrior going, so I'm going to go ahead and set up another slinger, or rather another settler. Try to get set up with that. Let's see. Shrine is 280, so we are going to need to look for a potential source of gold. Looks like we're not going to be getting that, so that's fine. What we can do is purchase Diplomatic Favor. All right, so here's the little trick I was talking about. So this is a fantastic early game trick. Is in the situation that you have Diplomatic Favor that you can buy, before the medieval era, the AI will extremely undervalue the selling of them, but they'll overvalue the buying of them, especially a lot of the other AI. So for example, this is 2 gold, just literally outright 2 gold, right? Very, very, very cheap. 20 Diplomatic Favor. Doesn't seem like a lot. Until you go to the AI here, and look at that. Just look at that. 6 gold per turn for 20, and I literally just got for almost free for 2 literal gold, which is less than what I'm making a turn. Just that. So I can make that right there. Boom, and now I'm up to 12 gold per turn and 166 gold. Bada bing, bada boom. Now you can see here 440 gold. That's a pretty expensive settler, but it becomes easier to get some of these things set up if you try to prioritize going for that. So just little things you want to be kind of thinking about as you play. Purchase, once again, you can't do it this turn. You can only buy 20 per turn per character. So that's kind of the limitation. I mean, it's already extremely busted. I mean, it's the ancient era. We've got about 10 to 25 turns left. I am trying to see if we can get a normal age because a dark age would not be great here. But a dark age might end up happening just based off kind of this position. Okay, so we're going to want to go ahead and fortify here. Let's see here. And okay. Yeah, so there's 10 turns left in the era, so we're already at 10 turns. So we need to, in the next 10 turns, try to get that kill. If we can kill that barb camp, we'll get 3. And if there's anything else that we could do. Should be getting a Pantheon this next turn. Yeah, next turn we'll be getting a Pantheon started, so that's good. Unfortunately, we're not going to be getting a good Pantheon, I can tell you right now. Unfortunately, the good ones already got taken, I can guarantee it. The AI always get the good ones early on, especially because we have 2 faith-focused civs, in this case, already taking it, so there's no chance that roulette settlements will be available, so we're not going to be getting a free settler, which is unfortunate. However, getting this warrior is going to be good, because this is going to be really, really much needed backup. I am going to back up a little bit. I was going to think about attack, but they both pushed up. Now the position becomes a lot riskier for me to go for. Stonehenge. Now we move up. Alright, yep, as I expected, already the good ones were taken. Not much you could do, you know, it's just the unfortunate thing when that happens. It's just a lot of good things get taken. Marsh, oasis, and desert floodplains. So this right there is a desert floodplains. This would give us 2 production. So this right here would be a 3-3 tile. This would turn into a 2-2 tile. So that's already good. But if I settled a city here, all of these tiles would have 2 more production on top. So this is actually, I'm going to go ahead and just do this one, just to kind of showcase a little bit of how this can be a pretty good utility from a raw yield standpoint. So you can see here, 3 production, boom. That gives us a massive benefit to this production. Now we're cooking. Now we are cooking a little bit. We are on a nice low simmer. We have just turned the broil on. We're getting going. So let's go ahead and get set up here. We're going to move up a little bit. Take a look here. We're going to keep this unit back a little bit. We're going to heal them up. And what we'll do is we'll go ahead east. There's Theodora. This is a culture sieve right here. Sure. This one out. Oh, that's fine. Yeah, you're way the heck over there. However, oh, you have another civilization that you have met as well. So that's good info. Purchase. Look at that. Look at that. Super cheap. This is such a beautiful exploit, and I love Civilization 6 for this. You can go against the AI deity, and you have some little, just micro little benefits you could work with. So, and welcome. I see somebody else has joined the stream. Welcome. All right. So 20 diplomatic favor for 1 gold. Boom. 8 diplomatic favor, 1 gold. And look at that, 28 diplomatic favor. Now, again, this is the quick deals mod. So if you go to the Steam Workshop, if you click on and search for the quick deals, this is the one that you'll find. So if you now try to sell 28 diplomatic favor, boom. Tamar is overvaluing them. The others are not. Of course, I just bought it from them. But what'll happen is I can get this now, an extra 6 gold per turn and 25 gold. So not too bad. Early game, I'll take every bit of gold I can get. Gold in the early game is an absolutely critical commodity. You absolutely want to be trying to get extra bits of gold. This is a good way for you to farm that. It just gives you access to more gold. Like now I could buy a builder if I wanted to. I don't really need to, but I could if I wanted to, and I could use that to my advantage. You see how getting that that Lady of the Reeds and Marshes, that's now giving me an extra 2 production in this particular tile right here. This was only 2 food, but now it's 2 food, 2 production. So very, very useful. If I were to buy that tile right there, that's now a 2-2 tile. So again, a city like this, however, would be insane. I very much want to actually go ahead and try to eventually push a city here. I want to try to push a city here. These are going to be 2 advanced cities I want to kind of consider. Once I get that monument, actually what I want to do is I want to try to push out a settler. Once we get state workforce, we'll be in a good spot. Eventually, once we get state workforce, we're going to push for this. Discover a second continent. In this particular one, we are playing off of the shuffle map. And so typically with shuffle, it's very randomized. And so what'll happen is you can either get a very small continent, you can get large or medium continents. And what happens sometimes they'll either be connected a little bit, or they'll just straight up not be connected at all. And meaning like certain like bonuses or boosts you may not be able to get. All right, so we have a couple of Aeroscore left, so that's good. That is going to be very weak, so we're going to move up. We're going to attack. That's good. Now we can go ahead and move this up. It's got enough health to be able to take a turn of damage, so we could survive. I'm going to skip turn. Amenities, not the end of the world. I want to go ahead and check this area. 1, 2, 3, 4. So we are in a good spot. I will settle here because this area will be good to secure. And this area will be okay. Let's see here. Akatakan, small little satellite city, not the end of the world to work with. We are doing okay from a faith standpoint. Somebody has already gotten John the Baptist. That's just from Stonehenge. However, we are looking okay here. If I were to take a look at progress, 1, 2, and 3. Too bad. Theodora is friendly. We're going to go ahead and declare friendship. So that's good. It's good to have a friendship because potentially you can make some good deals with them as well. So for example, I'm going to go ahead and pick myself up a little bit more of this beautiful commodity that I call diplomatic favor. And go ahead and sell more of it. And there we go. Another 3 gold per turn. And now we're actually making some good money. Now we're in a position where we're just making some good money to work with. And a delegation, 25 gold for free. All right, yes, please. No, thank you. We do have the advantage of power. that will definitely do significant damage. So we can definitely hurt that. I am going to keep you fortified and put you back here. I want those units to try to push into our position here. That will be something we could take advantage of. Yeah, Phil, we indeed have a barbarian problem. So unfortunately, what happens is if a barbarian camp doesn't get discovered in like the first couple turns of them existing, they spawn a lot of barbarians. And that has been, unfortunately, kind of a thing, especially in Deity, because of the +4 combat strength that all Deity AI get on you as well. Things become difficult, the best way to put it. I'm going to go ahead and kill that. Get rid of that. I am going to stay fortified with that. I'm going to, let's see, can attack with that, but I would rather defend. I'm going to bring this over. Actually, let's do this. We'll go here, fortify, keep that safe. And what we'll do is I'm just going to check down here. Okay, that's mountains. Good to know. And the good thing is with our ranger, we can go through woods and rainforest pretty quickly, so it's not too bad. We have already kind of gone through most of this continent here, so the only thing I want to do now is kind of explore the south. So I'm going to have to kind of try to cross the river here and make my way over here. That'll give us a little bit of information to work with. There's not really much in the east other than the barbarians and then kind of very limited tundra area, it looks like, so we'll have to make do.
It is equally important.
Just when I thought I was able to get some tempo on the barbarians, more spawned. I need an archer. I can very much afford an archer, but I'm going to need one. May have to buy another Slayer, actually. Let me consider that. So the only silver lining for the extremely annoying barbarian problem in Deity is the fact that your capital is a great safe haven against barbarians. So I'm pretty isolated away from other AI. There is one here and there is another one here, and Tamara is somewhere off in the east. However, this area itself is pretty safe, so I can work with that. Let's go ahead and continue working on stuff that we could do here. I'm going to go ahead and focus on Holy Site prayers. I want to try to see if I can get that set up a little earlier. I can, however, go ahead and buy a shrine. That's going to give us a little bit of tempo. Extra governor title. Yeah, Slinger's always needed. What I would do though in this case is I could live without it. I just have to basically utilize a bit of a trick here. Is that the barbarians cannot destroy your capital. So what you can do to work around basically the fact that your capital is invincible to barbarians, not to AI civs, of course. They can easily take your capital and that'll be it. But the barbarians, however, if you get attacked by them, becomes very, very actually great as a method to farm free damage, because they're just going to keep hitting it over and over again. They'll weaken it. They'll weaken the capital, but they'll also weaken themselves. And then you can actually just go ahead and just plunk that unit really easily for very little work that you have to do. So that's across the river. That's going to attack us. That'll be good. The only thing I have to be careful about is the fact we are on very negative defensive modifier positions. The -2 here is not great. That's just kind of the nature of floodplains here, so just have to work with it. Let's see here. We've already got God King, so we are going to be putting on this wonderful card that we call Urban Planning. That looks pretty good here. That's going to give us a nice benefit to work with. Also, what we want to do is we want to think about what we can set up with. So I would say Amani may be a good option eventually. Let's see here. Yeah, so that's not going to be helpful. So Amani is not going to be great right now. Void Singers, I'm not really trying to push for that. I would rather get Owls of Minerva. We've got how much population in the capital? 5. So that's actually really good. I'm going to do this. I'm going to go ahead and focus on our culture for a little bit. So I'm going to do Connoisseur. It's going to give us now 8.4 culture. Actually, a little bit more than that once we get the benefits stacked next turn. And that's going to make it a lot faster for us to kind of work our way through the early game civic tree. We get ourselves political philosophy, and what we'll do is eventually what we're going to kind of push for is by getting that, we could do autocracy. We could also do oligarchy to get rid of the barbarians a little more easily as well. So that's a nice option to kind of consider. Let's go ahead and cross the river here. Not too worried about that. All right. So here are the barbarians. We're going to go ahead and fortify here, of course. That's across the river. That's not, but that's okay. We will attack that. We'll go back here and fortify. Or rather, attack. We are going to make our way down south. Are we going to request open borders? That's a little expensive, buddy. A little much. Let's see here. However, we're going to go ahead and get ourselves a little bit more Diplo favor. And just keep buying free gold, basically. And it's a good thing that warrior came in, because that's giving us a little bit of utility. What we will do, though, is simply... let's see here. So that looks good. That's going to be pretty weak, so we're going to have to be careful there. I'm going to go ahead and get into the capital, keep that fortification status high. And let's see here. You know, I'm going to have to bite the bullet and just get that open border. It's down by 1 gold, actually. That's not bad. Hello, we have met Nubia. And a bad thing to meet extra civilizations. Of course, they have attacked that. That is lovely. You could die now, thank you. Oh yeah, no, City-State 100% came in with a good timing there. So what we'll do is we're going to switch these units out. Very heavily weaken that. And we're going to have to repair that shrine. Take a look at great profit points. Great profit's already getting taken. We're going to want to try to be one of the next ones to get a great profit. If we could get a religion early on. I wasn't really trying to push with the religion early on, but it can be very useful to go for it. Okay. Let's see here. Now that we have open borders, foreign trade, we have gotten boosted. Excellent. So that helps a lot. 8.9 culture per turn, so not too bad. Because that got boosted and completed, we also have some nice options we can consider eventually. Let's see here. Eventually, if we have to promote up some archers, which we will be getting a couple turns from here, so this will be setting up as an archer. You kind of only really need 1 archer. You could use 2, but having 1 with the volley promotion is excellent, because I'll be showing a little bit of how useful that is. We have met Teddy. Teddy is another civilization that values, like very much values buying Diplo favors. So we're going to go ahead and buy that, buy that. Alright, so they equal that. They both... That's funny. They have the exact same gold and they value that the exact same. So let's see here. Who has more strength? 190, 39. Tamar is weaker, so I'm going to go with the weaker one. I do not want to be benefiting somebody that's a lot stronger. His yields are... Because he's Teddy, and Teddy, especially Bull Moose Teddy, gets some absurdly overpowered science and culture benefits from being like near mountains and setting up with a lot of woods nearby. You get like a stupid amount of culture and science. Like it's absurd how much of a benefit you actually do get. We're going to go ahead and do this. We're going to we can actually very easily kill most of these units here. So we're going to go up 1, up 1, up 2. That clears most of that. We're going to go over here. Good turn. 1 turn away from getting a shrine back. Good. 5 per turn. Okay, that's lovely. Okay. Yeah, the city-state definitely helped there for sure. To navigate this position, what we need to do is kind of think about like what the rest of our plans are going to look like. So we need to continue getting rid of that. Good thing is with 1 turn remaining in the era, we have secured a normal age. So we do not need to worry about having a dark age. Dark ages suck. In the early game, they can really, really hamper your production and overall all of your yields. And it becomes very difficult to work with. And so here we are in the classical era. So we have one
I
more
shot an
era
arrow into
until
the-
we need to kind of get set up a little differently. So what I mean by that is first we will let's go ahead and buy more tipple paper. There we go. Get that going. Now, I was going to say I wanted to benefit the weaker party, but that's a lot more gold. So let's see here. Yeah, that's a lot more gold. That's going to help us way more. We could really use that gold right now because I want to go ahead and start setting up with some luxuries. So we're going to go ahead and set up here. I would say a builder would be great. Just getting one is good because then we can set up potentially with irrigation a couple of these luxuries. Really get our gold moving along. So 2 luxuries here would be great. This would also, this is kind of covering up, so I'll delete that. But this is going to make this even better because getting a mine here is going to provide us an extra couple production, and that'll just give us permanent production all the time. And so that'll be a good thing. What we're going to do for dedications. Dedications, there's a good option, typically. I would say, unless you have a religion set up, don't go for Exodus of the Evangelists. Typically, you want to think about getting free inquiry. It's good for the bonuses. However, if you get a golden age, which is my goal, it's going to take 29 era score for us to get a golden age. So we need to get rid of this barb camp, and we have quite a bit of work to do to start settling up new cities. We do want to settle up a city near this. This is going to give us a few era score as well. So we're going to go ahead and make our way into the north a little bit. Let's see here. Let's move up 1 and upgrade. There we go. And we can see here, like, if we were to attack them, 30 strength. So that's very, very powerful. This area is pretty safe. Move up north next turn. Now that we have archery, we're going to go back to what we were trying to do before, which is get set up with Petra. We do want to try to rush for Petra. If we can get Petra, this is going to set us up for a fantastic mid-game. However, if we do not get Petra, it's going to kind of suck. So I'm very eager to try to get set up if we can with that. Let's go ahead and take a look a little bit over here. So I mentioned earlier about how I didn't want to kind of go for certain wonders. This is why. The AI very much rush and value going for certain wonders like that very early. So it could be very painful to try to make a push for, as what happened earlier with Hanging Gardens. We went for Hanging Gardens and that got sniped. So that's almost ready for promotion. So we do want to try to keep that unit safe. I might actually go ahead. I'm going to bring them over here. I'm going to bring this over. This will cover this area pretty well. And can I need to get across. I'm going to go ahead, cross, and then get some information. Next up, we will go here. Next turn, I can get set up with a very nice mine.
Gott grüße euch,
We have
Geselle.
mint. We have
Ich bin
mint.
Kaiser Friedrich.
Okay, this is going to be interesting. Okay. Not a bad thing, but not a good thing. To be meeting Frederick
It was luxuries
is
like air
interesting.
conditioning that brought down the Roman Empire.
because he is going to be a bit of an issue if he's nearby us. Because of his city-state focus, he just straight up likes to kill city-states. That's his thing. His agenda here, as you can see here, do not associate with city-states, does not like suzerains of city-states or civilizations who conquered city-states. Basically, his idea is he will just straight up, especially because he gets a +7 combat strength against city-states, he will just straight up go to kill city-states outright. So you don't want to associate with that. Now that is useful. We're going to go ahead and use this. And 9 gold per turn. Nope, we are going to sell that. Open borders. Okay, we're actually going to go do this. I will happily take that. And now we're at 225 gold again. We have plenty of gold to work with. We're going to make our way up north here. We're going to, let's see, move up 1. Move up 1. We can actually start making our way up north little by little. We're just being careful about this. I don't want to overextend, because overextending units is a quick way to lose said units. We're going to go down here. We're going to go down over here and get set up with that. Oh, that's on a march tile. I need to buy that. Hold on. Oh, look at that tile. Is that another mod? What are you referring to specifically? Also, 5-2 tile. Oh, that's a good tile. If you're talking about the quick deals, yes, that is a mod from the Steam Workshop. Very, very fantastic. There are some UI ones that trading multiple people at a time. Yes, so if you go to the Steam Workshop and you basically search for quick deals, like just this name right here, this is the mod for it. And this allows you to basically very easily make a lot of deals. So say I want to purchase like a great wonder, or a great wonder, a great work, say like a specific one. It could be a great work of writing. Boom. I can eventually, if there's ones available, I can see a list of them. Oh yeah, no, that is a juicy 5-2 tile. And recall that is a 5-2 tile specifically because of my Pantheon right here, Lady of the Reeds and Marshes, 2 production from Marsh, Oasis, and Desert Floodplains. So, like, for example, these tiles on the left here, that'll be additional production. And as they get flooded, it's just going to keep getting better. So I will happily set up on that. This is another fantastic tile because that's going to turn into a 3-2 tile. I mean, just right now, this city has now gotten really good utility. So this is good. Our food growth is a bit slower now. We can see here it's slowed down a bit. So, oh yes. So it's a good Pantheon choice for a very kind of unlucky kind of spawn. So just trying to basically make do with what we have here. We do have another governor title. Considerations for governor titles. This is kind of a tricky one for this particular one. This city eventually could use a governor, but right now it's not really super beneficial. I would say right now, though, if I were to eventually kind of think about, let's see here. Fire new tiles faster, 3 gold per turn. Getting tiles faster in this city would be good, because getting extra little bits of production as well wouldn't be too bad. So that's not a bad option. Amani is not bad if I were to have found more city states, but right now it's not great. As I say that, there's Gazagamu. Okay, Gazagamu is a good one. If you have a military type civ, eventually building a bunch of encampments can make it super, super cheap to build a military, like very, very cheap. So not a bad thing at all. Let's go ahead and get more Diplo favor. That, oh yeah. Tons of Diplo favor. 30 Diplo favor right here. We're going to go ahead and see. Now that is money. As the great man of the Krusty Krab once said, money. And we're going to move this over here. Yep, so that's already queued up. Settlers ready, and that's going to be worked on. Good. We want to try to push out more cities right now. We're at a stage of the game we absolutely need to settle up more cities. We also need to get rid of this barb camp for once and for all, because oh boy, that has been a problem and a half. We're going to move up here and move up here. It shouldn't spawn more barbs right away, so we should be okay. And we're going to move westbound. I think it's good. Go. Next turn, I can get another luxury. And then I'll finish off with that luxury there, and that's going to give us like a 7 food tile. So that's insane. Goodbye, Irene. Actually, I'm going to go with this one, because that is going to be useful. And there was a scout nearby. And oh man, I am so happy to get rid of that barbarian camp. That has lost us a lot of time. So let's go ahead and do this. This is going to give us 2 gold right away. So now we have passive gold permanently in this area once we put a population there. What we will do for now, though, is because we're limited on housing, unfortunately, we can't really do too much in this city. That's why I'm trying to focus on a settler, so that way I can eventually basically just hard focus on getting a settler. That's going to take us down a population. I'll put a city here, and then eventually getting set up with another city here so we can try to make a push for Petra. That'll be good. And then potentially even get another settler on top of that, and that'll put us in a really good spot. I may even consider is because we don't need to worry about oligarchy anymore because that barb camp is gone. I may just go classical republic and make the push for specifically using these economic policy slots. In a little while, I'm actually going to showcase some of these really good ones. Colonization, if you combine that with urban planning, you can get some very, very nice bonuses to pump out settlers a lot. This is the era right here, the classical age. This is the era you absolutely want to be trying to expand as much as possible. First era is the ancient era. You want to just get your footing, just get kind of a setup that you want to work with and kind of go from there. I'm going to go ahead and get rid of that. That's not going to be happening, of course, because, you know, that. So we're good there. Excellent era score. That's going to help us as well. Now we're going to move over to the east here. We're going to hold on to this governor title for just a little bit. Over here. That's blocked, so we're going to have to work around that. There you are. Kind of just start securing. I want to secure this perimeter a little bit, just in case there's a small chance there might be another barbarian camp, which I really don't want there to be another barbarian camp, especially over here. So I'm going to need to first secure the east just to make sure we're good, and then we're going to bring these units over to the left here and just start getting set up here. I want to start getting cities here. Honestly, these 6 cities right here will be excellent for us. That is going to give us a very good kind of concentric area. We'll make kind of a semi-tall build here. 6 cities is plenty for what we're going to be trying to push for, especially with this type of game setup. So we'll work from that. Also, nice. All right, so that basically killed itself. So we have a free position to work with. I'm going to start bringing units. So this one is going to go left. Let's go ahead. Go west here. This is going to go east. Okay, so that's good to know. It's good to know that there's quite a bit of forestry here. That's going to be slow moving for stuff. So if a military comes up, we'll have plenty of notice. In terms of great profits, we're going to need to see if we can save our gold for that. So this is going to benefit us more. $494. 710. So this is going to be tricky. You know what? I'm actually going to curtail this. I want to see if I can get that Holy Cypress done in time to not lose the last... Okay, we're going to be losing that. Oh, gosh, it's a mismanagement on my part. I should have checked for that earlier. All right, well, we're likely going to be losing that, so that's unfortunate. Okay. I'm just going to bite the bullet and just go for the settler instead. That's fine. Yeah, barbarians have unfortunately made this whole situation
Divide and rule.
very annoying. We did get political philosophy, so as I said before, we're going to be going for classical republic. It's going to give us a little bit of era score. So 18 out of 26. It's looking pretty good. We need 40 for a golden age, so we really have to work for it. I would say right now we're going to need to try to get more population. So let's get set up here. Let's go ahead and get that going. That's very good tile right there. And 680 gold. We need, let's see, 153 gold. Well, that covers half of it. Okay. You know what? I can lose the gold per turn, I could actually just do some gold exchange. I'm fine with gold exchange if I can snipe that. If I can snipe that great profit, that would be super critical for us. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's see here. Actually, it'd be easier if I went this way. So I want outright gold. 664. And we'll go Nubia. And we'll go ahead and just make a quick deal. 664. So we need. Oh, that's not what I meant. Let's do 17. That's a safe number. And that's fine. Now we can buy that. Haha! Okay. Alright. I thought I would have mismanagement, but we pulled it off. Okay, I'm happy. I'm very happy. What also helps is the fact that we sniped a great profit off somebody that was very much like Georgia. Another civilization, we don't want getting that. Nubia's already got that secured. Getting one of the last ones is super huge. Even if we don't have a great religion, having a religion is just useful. Alright, so let's continue making... Oh, no, don't want to do that. There we go. Just want to get some information about what's around us. Now, if I can get a religion and spread down south, that could be useful, especially if I'm trying to push culture outputs. So that could be useful. I just realized Georgia's scout is in a precarious spot. If you take that, I am going to be so mad, and I just realized I should check for that. No, thought to exchange gold over time for immediate gold. Yeah, so that it's basically just something you can have in the back pocket if you need that as an option. I'm just fortunate that the diplomatic favor trick has basically carried me along and gotten me a crap ton of gold. Otherwise, that wouldn't have been possible. But doing that is just a way to get a little bit of extra gold output. Let's see here. I'd say right now, honestly, getting eventually started with drama and poetry is going to be good. So we're going to go ahead and make a push for that. I'm going to take off of that. I don't really need Holy Site prayers now anymore at this stage. What we'll do, though, is we are going to think about... Napadana could be good, actually. Napadana would be very good. Because an Apadana... Oh, okay, yeah. Apadana here. And setting up like a Mount Bloody Temple or something over there could be useful. Apadana is 40 Turks, so it is expensive, but it would help us a lot from an envoy standpoint. Great work slots, also good. Yeah. You know what? No. Let me search. Apadana. No results. Well, a little bit of confidence inspiring, so that's good. Government Plaza is very useful, though, if you're trying to utilize extra bonuses. So I'm eventually going to build that, but I'm not trying to prioritize that right now. It's good to build it in the capital or in a city that you're going to be getting lots of adjacencies out of. So, for example, like a city like this is already fairly good, so it's not really a problem. I'll put it over here. Okay, so now what we could do, put on colonization. We are going to want to go ahead and take charismatic leader, and we don't really need to worry about barbarians anymore, so it's not a problem. We're just going to go ahead and take the extra little touch of gold. The gold and faith never hurts to have just a little bonus. Actually, now let's go for this first. And what we'll do is instead we are going to go ahead and just pump out another settler. I can live with that Apadana. I do need the settlers first, so we'll do Apadana secondarily.
Wealth consists.
There is another little bit of error score, not too bad. Yay! You didn't attack me, thank you. I'm actually just going to go ahead and bring that unit south just in case. Well, that's about to get taken. If that doesn't get taken, I'm yoinking that. Okay. You had here. Zoroaster, okay. You know, just because it's him, we'll just take that. Okay, so because we didn't really get the good ones, typically whoever gets the first ones, for example, like there are situations where if you're playing as the Chimera Empire, Feed the World is stupidly powerful. Fortunately, Chimera is not in this game, it looks like, so that's not a problem, but just something if you are playing for that. So let's go for this. Okay, may purchase buildings with faith. Now, keep in mind, I'm actually going to go back out of this for a second. Keep in mind with Ramses' ability, gaining culture equal to 15% of the production cost. If I faith buy that, it's going to circumvent the cost of production, but I think it's still going to give us that culture. So I'm going to go ahead and test that. I don't mind testing it. This is always the benefit of playing. You know, you always learn something new, so I'm going to go ahead and do that to start. In terms of things we want to focus on, we want to think about getting one of three options. Let's see here. You know, that's okay if we build like 10 or 12 cities, but we're only going to have a few cities, so 6 cities is not that much to warrant that. Although it would also save us a lot of missionaries to have to spread our religion, so that is an option. I'll go ahead and pick that. I should. Yeah, so as we settle new cities, that should give us the outright majority religion, so that could be very helpful. Let's make our way over here. That's blocked off. That is an economic city-state, so I do want to meet them. Let's go ahead and continue doing more deals here. All right. Oh, Samarkand there. Okay. Go east. This area is pretty safe. That's good to know. Here, no one's nearby. We're going to secure this location. That did get taken. That's fine. There's Samarkand. What is your quest? To seek the Holy Grail. That's probably not going to be happening. Okay, so let's see here. We're on the floodplain, so this helps. Getting more settlers, that's good. This one is 6 turns away, so we're a few turns away from getting a couple more. So again, like typically in this era, you just want to focus on expansion. You want to try to get as many cities going as quickly as possible. Really push out. Come on, another barb camp. That's okay. Well, I'm gonna get over here. You are gonna make your way over here. I'm gonna go ahead and let's see here. Since I can't really move anyways, I'm gonna go ahead and fortify into promotion. Take battle cry. Move over. Let's go ahead and get open borders from you. It's going to be pretty cheap since you're friendly already. Oh, that is a city there. That is also a dead city. Soon to be dead city. Unfortunate. Oh no. I'm going to get back to safety. There we go. Settle that up. That's going to give us a nice amount of air score. We need 13 air score to get ourselves a golden age. So we are making some good inroads towards that end. Now, if we were to set up here, that's a good tile. 14 gold per turn. This is one of those cases where what you do is you extract the maximum value you can get out of that. This is ready for that yet. Back up to 24. And so you can basically see how I'm just essentially farming free gold out of this. It's not literally free, but it's pretty close to it. New city, typically your priority is going to be monument, of course. Granary is a good option as well. In our case, we want to kind of think about what we're going to have our general needs for. I would say at this current moment in time, we're going to need to kind of just focus on those two things in the city, let the city grow up a little bit, get set up here. So that's 4 turns away. Good. We'll get settled up here. We're going to settle another city here and eventually get a governor here. That's going to keep us neutral. That way we can have set up here. Just kind of keep this area kind of covered and taken care of. That way we don't need to worry about barbarians, sorry. Hey, Wheezy, welcome aboard. And thank you so much. All right, so we're going to keep this governor title for the time being. I don't need to use that right away, really for a while, actually. I'm going to need to bring you east. You also will need to go east. And can I move? I'm just going to have to go around. That's fine. Wow, Ethiopia is really expanding by taking all of her cities. Okay, that is not good for her. Potentially not good for me.
Über Vorsicht.
Alright, so we're fairly safe here. That's going to back off, so we're going to go ahead and just fortify and heal. We need to get some health back. Religious pressure is mounting a little bit. Okay, so that ability that I just got for the religious colonization didn't work as well as I thought it was going to. That's no problem. All right, we've got 6 people in the stream. Welcome, everybody. That's awesome. So let's go ahead and... it's going to be faster. Faster going up north. Okay, that's fine. Wrap around here. And what we'll do is, since we need more era score, we are going to continue making more cities. We will be getting some era score from getting a desert city as well, so we should be okay there. Sounds like you've done live streams before. What other games? I've been doing YouTube for a good couple years now, so I'm fairly comfortable with the kind of discussing game topics and stuff. I've only done live streaming one other time on a different game, but yeah, no, it's just it's just staying comfortable, you know, and kind of going through different game topics is something I'm quite used to. But thank you so much. The other game is Rocket League, by the way. I have a separate channel for that. It's very similar to the name of this one. So it's called Speed Dman RL. So if you go to on my main channel page, and you'll see like my other channels right off the the main page for it. You scroll down a little bit and you'll see a couple other channels. I have a primarily racing page, as I've worked as a racing driver before, as well as my other gaming page, which is my Rocket League page. I kind of go back and forth between this and that page as well. So let's make our way east here with that unit. Let's go west a little bit more. I've actually kind of explored most of this area, so that's good to know. There may be one more city-state, so it might be worthwhile. God declared war on America. I'm going to go ahead and be friendly with you. That's not really too expensive. We could also do it from here if we wanted to. Go back to Diplo favor. Okay, so this looks good so far. Getting more cities. Yeah, see, that's the problem there with Georgia, is they're very, very adamant about pushing the religion and pushing it very quickly. So trying to be careful about that. I need to make my way over here and deal with that barbarian camp, because I don't want to deal with another barbarian camp, like just spawning a bunch of units. If we can kill that before the end of the era, that'll give us another 2 era score. So that'll knock off some of the era score we need to get that golden age. If we can pull off a monumentality golden age, that's going to put us in a great spot, because then we can try to basically mass buy a bunch of builders and a bunch of things that we're going to need utility-wise, and potentially even get some more settlers if we want to settle up more cities here and just have a few extra cities just as backup, you know, just as an extra way to get more yields in the long term, which, not a bad thing. For the time being, though, again, so right now missionaries are expensive. Can't really do too much about that. And we'll end our turn. We're a couple turns away from 2 more settlers spawning, so that's good. 3 gold, also good. Let's see here. So we are getting some health back. I would attack that, but I need the health right now. Let's go over here. I am not going to declare war. Well, it's also because I'm already a friend with that. You can't really necessarily very easily declare war with the declared friend. I am not amazing at fighting games, unfortunately. I'm terrible at fighting games. I haven't actually played if you mean like Injustice kind of style or Mortal Kombat, yeah, I'm pretty bad at those. It's been a while since I played them. We have 2 settlers now. All right, so let's see here. We're gonna go ahead and settle up here, and that's 2 turns. Actually, how much? That's -8. So I'm actually going to settle here instead. That would be a better settlement. That's going to have a lot of utility. Let's cut across. Okay. 1 turn away from drama and poetry, so we're going to be able to get access to building our very first theater squares, which is very good. We need those. We don't really need to build any more settlers from the capital, at least for now. What we'll do, because I don't really need to actually develop a city here right away. Honestly, the city is going to be way too slow growing. There's not very much food growth from it, so I maybe should play fighting games soon. You know what? I'll take you up on that offer sometime. We probably can play a game like that at some point. Let's see here. Actually can build a monument now in our capital, so that will give us a little bit of time, but let's see. Instead, I could also go for a couple options. Let's think a little bit. I do have access to the theater square next turn, so that is good. Actually, that would be very good, because that'll allow me to start really boosting up my culture output and start catching up with the AI. Again, the AI in the early game gets some really dumb bonuses. That's just kind of why they're at the super high difficulty, is the game, like the developers basically, they made it difficult by just giving them a bunch of buffs that in the early game are very difficult to go against. In the later game, you can actually come back against them, and it becomes a little less difficult, but make our way east here. Yeah, I'm really bummed. I mean, I thought colonization here would actually benefit me more than it did, and it's actually pretty useful. So gaming goal now? What are you trying to accomplish? I came to the stream a little late. Oh, okay. So basically for a game like this in Civilization, is typically depending on like what happens. You're playing as, say, a specific civilization here. So I'm playing as a leader as Ramses II, as one of the Egyptian Empire type of leaders. And you get different abilities and ways that you can play the game. Each civilization and each different type of leader, as we can see here, these are different playable characters. In this case, I'm playing against AI. So typically with different playable characters, they get different abilities. Like, for example, Theodora has some very, very good holy sites that you can use. Bull Moose Teddy here has some very good culture and science yields. As you can see here, he has 31 science, 53 culture, which is very, very good in the early game. Frederick Barbarossa is a very good type of military type of civilization. And so for my goal is to be going for what's called a culture victory. And so if we go to the world rankings tab, and this isn't like an actual PvP type, this game is a PvP game if you play it that way in multiplayer, but in single player, it's just AI. But if you go to world rankings, you can go to specifically like everybody in this particular world. And you can see here, my goal is to push for a culture victory. So eventually I'm going to be trying to get culture. And then you can see here, not only culture per turn, but tourism per turn. And so the way it works is basically if I click on this is a mod as well, the tourism overview mod, very, very useful mod. If you want to simplify how this works. Are there different leaders for each faction, or is there just the one person? It depends on the faction. Quite a few of the different factions in the game only have one leader, but there are many of them that also have 2. Like America has 3. They have Teddy Roosevelt Bull Moose, Teddy Roosevelt Rough Rider. They also have Abraham Lincoln. Nubia has one or two. Ethiopia has a couple. Unmet player, whoever they are, I'm not sure. Byzantium has two. Germany has two. Georgia has one. So there are quite a few different civilizations that all have their different benefits. And there's kind of, each one has, essentially each faction, I would put it this way, like, is essentially an empire. And each empire in this case is like the way it's kind of explained in civilization terms, is essentially going to have their own unique bonuses. So if I press the F9 key and I say I go to, Egypt. So if I click to Egypt, you can see here the Itero bonus, 15% protection towards districts and wonders if placed on placed next to a river. No damage from floods. The no damage from floods is very, very useful, especially in this type of condition. So like floodplains, normally I would actually, if I like built something here, say I took a builder and built like a plantation here. For example, if a flood came in, normally that would destroy the plantation. It would be gone. And I have to rebuild another one. With this ability, basically means I'm immune to that. So it's very, very useful. I'm going to go ahead and heal this unit up. Bring that up to much more health. It's already active, so I want to be a little careful about that. We do have access to that, so that's good. Let's see here. I am going to make my way towards serfdom. I am going to try to continue pushing for a golden age if I can get one. Would be ideal. Okay. And instead of monument, I'm going to go ahead and do holy site prayers. In this case, I'm actually going to go ahead and push my religion out a little bit. That's a problem. Swordsmen are a big problem. We're going to need to be careful about that. You can see they do a lot of damage. That's kind of the crappy thing about barbarians, is that if you can't deal with barbarians quickly enough, they just mass spawn, and they basically just are going to be a recurring issue unless you get rid of it. We did get ourselves another one of these, so this is good. So we're going to make our way over here, make our way over here, eventually set up there. What we'll be doing is, let's see here. That's Nubia. Okay, so let's go ahead and get open borders with Nubia. There we go. Let's look at some information. Okay, I would say economic one would be good. Do you have charismatic leader? But I'm going to hold on to that, because I can actually double up the benefit in a little while here if I show a specific card. And quick deals. Let's go ahead and get ourselves set up with some more of this. There we go. All right, so we have 887 gold per turn. So we are not per turn, I wish, but just gold, which is very, very good. You can basically afford to buy a lot of the stuff we're going to need. So, for example, if I need to buy a granary, I could buy a granary right away. So like here, buy a granary. Capital's got plenty of growth now. Honestly, it's a good thing I didn't actually get started on the granary, because I could just now outright buy that. Saves me the time of worrying about that. I can now focus on getting a theater square. I can start getting my culture really worked on. So let's go ahead and get that started. Get that started for the build. And what we'll do is we're going to go ahead and eventually get started as well here on Apadana. So there's a bunch of stuff we're trying to manage. It's kind of the difficulty with Civilization is it's a game all about managing things. You have to manage your civilization, you have to manage your military, your culture growth, science growth, potential religion, your economy, all sorts of things you have to manage as a player. And those are all very important things you have to be kind of cognizant of. That's taken some damage. That's good. If that chariot continues to damage that, we could use that to our advantage, especially if that goes away. We could use that. If that gets really heavily weakened, I could snipe that. And if I do, that could be really huge. Okay, so let's see here. looks good so far. Going to continue making our way over. This is risky because if Nubia goes after us, decides to declare war against us. Okay, good. They did. Glad they did. Because now in a couple turns here, I can settle up a city, and that city here is immediately going to be getting benefited by the Lady of the Reeds and Marshes, and we're going to be seeing a lot of these tiles actually go into 3 production tiles right away, which is very, very good for us. Oh, they left it. They left it. Oh, that's huge. That is massive. All right. This is looking pretty good. And let's take a look here. I'm just going to keep you fortified. You are just going to hang out there, even if you get some damage done against you. Auckland. That died. That's fine. But we met Auckland. Auckland's good for coastal games, or rather like naval games, but you know, that's nonetheless a good production city-state. So this is more of an industrial city-state right here. This will provide us a nice benefit in the long term. I may consider actually doing that one. That could be very useful. So now that we have this city up and running, we can see that we're going to be setting up here. So we want to try to get a desert plains right here. We'll buy that. It's going to be a nice 2-2 tile. Good tile for us to be working right away. Just gives us some nice options, and I would say in general it's very, very useful at this stage of the game. Let's go ahead and as well focus on that. I'd rather focus on theater squares. We need to get a lot of theater squares going because I need to start working on getting great peoples. Particularly, we need to be trying to focus on getting a lot of these great writers. The more great writers that we can get early game, the better. I'm going to steal that. 3 era score right away, so that's excellent. 20 eras or 20 turns away from the next era, and we're 10 era score away. That's very, very good for us. In a few turns, we'll settle up another city here. That's going to give us 1 or 2 more era score as well. So we are making some good inroads. I'm quite happy there. That's really, really good. Puts us in a very strong position. I'm fine with losing that unit because honestly, that distracted enough of them to pull them into a spot that I could just simply get rid of that barb camp. So now that barb camp's out of the way, the barbarians are just going to exist. They may come this way. We could deal with them if they do. But if they just go around trying to attack stuff, it just becomes a really nice way for us to just let them do whatever they want. And we could just continue working on what we're working on. So it's not really too threatening. We also do have the potential to go back in the civics here. And let's see here. We can go back potentially for a preserve if we wanted to. So this area here could be a very, very good preserve spot. Particularly these 3 tiles. If we were to set up a city here, this whole region would be even better. So it's a good option for us to kind of think about. It's just going to make a lot of these tiles all much better yielding. So that's something we can kind of think about. It's an expensive tile buy, but I do want to eventually showcase that because this city could use the yields, especially once we get that. So, you know what, we'll go ahead. It's expensive. We'll buy that. And then once we get set up here, we'll go off games and rec. We're going to go ahead and just curtail it to that. And then we're going to go into feudalism. And so if you want to, just a little basic trick, if you want to click on multiple things, for example, if I click on this or click on this, it auto goes to the one that you select. But if you want to preserve this while also working on other stuff, you hold the left shift and then you left click. You can see that's still there. And it also queues up these other civics. It works the same way in the text tree as well. So just a nice little benefit. So we are looking good and A-okay there. Apadana, we are working on that, so that is good. In a few turns, once I have the ability to switch my government type, or not government type, but just my my policy slots, I am going to go ahead and do that and add a specific one that I'm needing. So we'll start to work on our needs. We're going to kind of fortify here. That's in a great spot to attack that. So I'm just going to say fortified. Honestly, they may just end up killing themselves on my units, which is great. So that's fine with me.
Ο σιδήρεος.
Well, bar call. Okay.
Mysticism is the mistake of an
All
accident.
right. So there's the preserve. Oh, I got good damage on that. Excellent. Okay. So we have 2 envoys to work with here. So this is really good. I'm going to take this out. I'm going to put in Diplomatic League. I'm going to take out God King. I'm going to go ahead and put on Corvette. So we're going to kind of try to focus on that position a little bit. We'll do is now I'm not focusing on settlers. I'll move this up. I'm actually going to go for Great Writers. Great Writer points is going to get us a very good position because now we can start getting passive Great Writer points. And that's going to kind of just help us in the long term. It's going to give us tourism. It's going to give us culture. And especially because we're going to be trying to become suzerain eventually of this particular city-state, Anshan, we could use that as a way for us to get a lot of extra science. And that's going to cover our science needs. However, that diplomatic policies card right here, Diplomatic League, we're going to show how this is going to help us. So right here, boom. Owls of Minerva discovered. This is the reason why we were holding our governor title. We're going to point to that. And that's giving us a free economic policy slot. And as we get later into the game, I'm going to showcase how this could be a very useful thing as we eventually get more slots. Because later in the game, that faction is going to eventually give us a wild card policy slot, which is very, very useful, as well as some other benefits. So just some little things here and there that are going to be providing lots of benefits all around. So we can actually keep God King on. We can keep that extra bit of faith generation. Not a bad thing. I'm going to go ahead and buy that first missionary. And I'm going to bring that missionary over and just start going through and getting things set up. I'm going to try to convert things because the more cities that we can eventually convert, the better our pressure will be. And eventually we'll start getting set up here. Of course, a lot of people are not happy about that. That is fine. All right. This looks pretty good. What I might go ahead and do, actually, is music. I'll turn that on, so that way from now on, music is available just as background noise. Another barb can. Please don't be... Oh, for heaven's sake. Well, we know where we're going. All right. That's nice. We got some background music. Let me know if it's a little quiet. I might turn it up just a little bit. All right, so what we'll do is we're going to go westbound here. Get to that spot. New city production. 6 turns away from mathematics, so our first goal when we get the city built is instantly going to be focused on petrol. Absolutely, no doubt about it in my mind. First thing we got to focus on. Do want to do is go ahead and do this for food growth.
Bread is the first necessity.
That gives us that a little earlier, so that's good. Let's go ahead and think about... Wait. Renew the friendship. Okay. So now, at this stage of the game, the AI is actually starting to, all in general, start to sell at good value. Or not good value, but actual proper value for Diplo Favor. So now we're not going to be able to do that exploit really much anymore. So that's not a problem, it's just a little thing. Go. Alright, very good gold right there. Puts us in a pretty good spot. And what we'll do is we're going to go ahead in this city. Besides setting up for that Petra, we're going to go ahead and lock in the production value here. Just get that going so that we're in a good spot for that. And then what we can do afterwards is kind of think about what we want to set up towards. So Traders would be pretty good right about now. Actually, traders would be excellent. So let's see here. Go ahead and buy a trader. Get a trader to our capital, just to give us a little bit of rotation. It's 2-1, and it helps spread our religion a little bit as well. There we go. Just giving us more majority of religion in this area. We do want to go ahead and start spreading more here just to protect our religious pressure here. You can see that's where Tamar is, so that's good to know. Positionally, I mean, we're doing a good job with what we have. This is a bit of an unlucky start, so it's kind of just how it is. But we're able to make do, so that's okay. We're in the turn. We have 22 turns until Abaddon is done. That's a good wonder to get done. And 5 turns away from getting mathematics. Not a problem. Our first Theta square will be built, so this is exciting. Make our way over here. I want to go ahead and get population converting over to that. Even though Georgia's being annoying with that. Okay, that's fine. We are trying to head over to the west here. Alright. Looks good so far. But just conversion will eventually occur, so that's not too bad for us. Let's see here. Theta square is now done, so we can eventually get started on that preserve. We're going to go ahead and get started on placing that there. And we will focus on that. We have Metcogwana. That is going to be disappearing, unfortunately, but that is not a bad one, actually. Yeah, Beatties are a little useful. Not for us right now, but can be useful. And really, these barbarians have been absolutely the worst this game. Unfortunately, I've survived the barbarians, but they definitely can be a pretty significant issue for a lot of players. Try to head west. I need to get rid of those barbarians ASAP. Looks good so far. Keep making our way to the west here. All right. Let's try to block that position for a bit. That looks good. That looks good. That's being built passively, it looks like. Alright, 10 turns, it's 18 turns. Eventually get that set up. Yeah, things are looking up. I always worry about hearing that sound, because I know oftentimes it means I'm getting sniped out of a wonder, so unfortunately it's kind of like it's like PTSD for Civilization 6 players. You hear that and you just kind of cringe for a moment, you're like, oh no, please don't. Especially if you're working on wonders. Okay, so we are looking pretty good here. Now that we have mathematics, we can actually kind of start on some of this stuff. So with apprenticeship, this will be good. This will be a nice area for us to eventually set up a good Petro city. Now, ideally, if there happens to be Nazca this game, that would be top tier for this area. That would be absolutely top tier. And eventually, if we do get Nazca, I will try to showcase what that can look like. Go ahead and convert. Alright, it's looking pretty good here. That's not looking good. Oh no. barbarians are going to be a real problem. Alright, so that gives us majority in that area, so that's good. I'm gonna buy an archer here. I might have to buy another one, even though I don't really want to be continuing to spend so much money on military stuff, but alas.
Yosemite.
Yosemite. 8 air score away. It's gonna be really tight for us to get the air score we need for Golden Age. Ah, of course. Of course. Thank you. Thank you. More overpowered units that I can't do anything about. Love it. Buy another archer, because this is going to be a meme at this point. Go back one. Yeah, barbarians are basically like a meme in Civilization 6. There's just like, they just absolutely the most annoying units in D&D. I would very much go so far as to say that barbarians are more annoying than any other civilization in most cases. Like, if you die right off of the bat because of a civilization, then you could just restart or go for another run. Barbarians often just limit your runs constantly, and they just constantly are like a bother. And they're just there. They just exist just to be annoying. Which is why I don't like barbarians in this game. They're very annoying. Now, there is a barbarians clans mode, which at some point in the future, if anyone would like me to, I can actually showcase that, and that is an interesting one. But it basically changes the way barbarians work fundamentally. You can actually use barbarians to your advantage, and eventually actually make city-states out of the barbarians, as I'm saying that the barbarians are completely flatlining my military. Did I tell you I love barbarians? But down to 12 turns, so that is good, at least. There's something going well. Granary is done in that city. That's useful. I'm going to go ahead and actually get started on that, because an Oracle would be great, actually. Our capital doesn't need that as much as this city does. I'm going to go ahead and swap that. Yeah, that's fine. 7 turns instead of 16. Good. Ah, we have met Shaka. That is the last remaining civilization. Okay, well, unfortunately, it looks like I'm going to be probably showcasing what it looks like when a city dies, because of, yeah. Great. Alright, can I do enough? I can. That's going to get hurt a lot. Basically, I need to survive this first onslaught, and then I need to buy like a not barbarian, another warrior of some kind, just to defend the city from, or maybe even another archer and just build an archer army. Because, yeah, this game is tricky. 11 turns, 113 turns, it's a long time away. Let's see here. Ah, that's gotten production from flooding. Okay. I would love more flooding to come over here. Of course. Oh, barbarians. Oh, barbarians. I love you so. It's actually not a bad tile. The holy site there. Plus, it gives me a little more visibility in this area, having this stuff kind of built up. So that's fine. 10 turns away. 1 turn away from the preserve, so I'm now going to be able to start showcasing soon here why I like the preserve. Ah, a lovely spot. Another one of these bad boys going. 9 turns. Now, groves are quite expensive from a gold standpoint, 600 gold, but it provides you with a lot of benefits here. Food, faith, and production, culture, and so on as you develop it later on. So these are very good to have. 10 turns, so it's going to cost us a bit. I'm going to go for the amphitheater instead. Looking good so far. 500 gold, so we are actually close to being able to just buy it out, right? Even though we have a good amount of gold per turn, so it's not looking too bad, but it's going to be an issue. We have a hills tile here, so we do have potential for protection. These barbarians are so bad, dude. Well, this is kind of a situation where it's just barbarians are absolutely the worst. That's got a promotion available. I am going to switch that over because I can put on garrison, and that is a very good promotion for when you have a lot of barbarians, for example, being absolutely annoying. I am going to go ahead and let's see here. I'm going to get back to work on the Oracle though. Looks good so far. Rest of that looks good.
A man on a horse is...
Oh, and of course the barbarian plundered the... I hate barbarians. Did I tell you how much I hate barbarians? They are so awful, dude. Oh, this has been such a cursed run for that. All right, that looks good. Hey, somebody joined. Welcome, welcome to the stream. So we got amphitheater going again. We have our small military that is getting completely pounded right now by barbarian horsemen, which, fortunately, as the nature of this game, can be very difficult. But we have the opportunity to get some potential barbarian kills, which is going to be helpful because we could use that right about now. Let's do this. We will go here, just in case that didn't die. That does. That's good. We'll combo attack that, and we got good damage on that. Good, good. That's going to help us a bit. Man, that losing that trade route's really hurting though. Yeah, barbarians, they just basically can ruin a lot of your run, so we're trying to do what we can. The run is not dead. It's definitely not dead or anything like that, but it's it's in pain. I would put it that way. The run is in pain. it is in a tricky spot. Let's see here. I'm desperately trying to think about anything I could do in one turn for this. Unfortunately, I mean, we've done everything we could. We have not found any other civilizations or city-states. Didn't really have the means to set up anyone for a... let's see here. Yeah, no, it would have been really tricky on timing. So that's fine. I did notice the only thing I could have done is potentially taken Amani and put Amani in Auckland. But it would have been a pretty tight window, and I just didn't realize that at the time. So that's the only thing that's kept us from a golden age. That's my mistake there, so we'll just have to kind of go through and live with that. That's all good. I love seeing this. Because we have enough barbarians. Oh my gosh. This is amazing. Barbarians are so fun. Alright. Did do a good job with free and crew. We got some bonuses, not too many, but can't really use that. Yeah, definitely our religion is gonna have to be on life support, looks like. Gonna move over here. Damage that, damage that. Do as much as I can. Basically just trying to do as much damage as I can. Most of these normal age queries are pretty not great. We got a great writer. So let's make our way to the capital. And we'll get ourselves set up with that. That's not bad. Always love losing expensive units that I needed, and of course the game is just taking a sledgehammer and smacking me upside the head with barbarians. I would like that. I would like to build a very fast military right now. And... oh, I see somebody joined the stream. Welcome, welcome. As you can see, we are in the midst of a very, very cursed run. Where, yeah, we are completely surrounded constantly by barbarians. We have had 3 individual different barbarian camps basically attacking us. We've had one here. We started the game with one here. Another one spawned here. And this is the 3rd one. And of course, this is the hardest one because of the amount of skirmishers and horsemen, all of which have 40 combat strength and are just terrible right now. They're just terrible. I'm going to take garrison once again. Gonna have to make do with that. 3 turns away from Apadana, so that's pretty good for us. We'll make our way over here. Next turn, we can get that great rider started. Oh, that's one shot. Have to vote. I mean, I have no real place in that, so I'm not trying to get involved with that. I've got enough issues, as we can see here, with these barbarians. Yeah, best that leave that. Okay. Back that unit off. You go here, you attack that.
Let me not
create Great Works. So if we go to Great Works, we'll see that we now have access to Great Works. That's going to give us passive tourism. And so a general thing about Civilization 6 when it comes to culture victories, there are three components that are really important. First is just raw culture, because by basically getting culture production, getting a lot of culture per turn, you can eventually make domestic tourism. That'll eventually start adding up and eventually helping you in the long term. Also helps as well because you can eventually get foreign tourism, which will help. And then tourism itself is a mechanic where basically there are a few different ways you can get it. There are great works of writing, or just great works in general, which include paintings, things like that. Another type is from wonders. So for example, like I'm trying to build the Apadana wonder. Once I build that, that is eventually going to be providing us with tourism. Another way is by rock bands late game. That's much later on. And another important way is, as shown here, through these little guys. So open borders helps us, exerts more tourism, trade routes, as well as having the same government type. So just a little things in general. There's Jerusalem. Another unit dies. Awesome. There we go. We're going to go ahead and buy that. And, or rather sell that and sell that. And while we're at it, sell one more. Actually going to hold on to some of that because that's already getting worth quite a bit. And that's not selling for much. Obviously keeping it. I'm not going to sell that. But it's just something to check just to see what the AI are valuing it at. I'm going to hold on to this for now. Stay back here. Skip turn. Looks good. 3 turns away from that. I'm going to go ahead and showcase the grove here. So now you can see that these areas yield, these yields are a little bit better. Eventually, I do want to try to get a city over here. It's -1, actually. That's not bad at all. You know what? Settler is 800. 14 turns. I think it might be easier for us to just outright buy a settler. That's the same, that's the same. Yeah, so there we go. Start working on getting more gold output, and if we can, try to eventually just buy a settler, get one there.
My ancestor Darius made this Apadana.
Alright, so we have Apadana.
In democracy,
It's actually a pretty good one for us. This is going to help us quite a bit. I'm going to go ahead and get
For a friend
over
with an
there. Get Odyssey set up. So that's good. You can see that we have a pretty good amount of writer production points per turn. Some of the other AI, of course, are ahead right now. Not too much of a concern. We'll eventually start to catch up, but it's going to take some time. Go over here. Weaken that. Explore more of this continental area. Got 2 envoys here, so we're going to go ahead and plug this in just to get ourselves set up with Suzerainty. We're going to go 1 into here, and then we're also going to go ahead and get Amani and take her to Anshan now. Because we have our great works of writing, we're actually going to be able to get utility out of that particular city-state. So we're going to go ahead and showcase that as well. Now that we have feudalism, we have some nice benefits with our builders, so we can eventually actually afford to set up with builders. Now, I was trying to get set up with the Golden Age. It was a bit out of our reach, but still, it's the general idea of getting Golden Age is good. We need 25 era score to get a Golden Age, and it's achievable, but it's not going to be easy. Let me, okay, game's bugging out a little bit. Let's see here. We could go for an envoy. I would say this is better. I'm going to go for that. we want to try to get set up with some stuff here. So, let's see here. Aqueduct is a good ways away, so that isn't going to be good for utility, but there's some other things around that we can work on. Getting the Oracle would help. Actually, like, help a lot. Get rid of that and that. That way we can protect this. We did get done, not done, but we did get some stuff done, so that's good. Take a look here. Yeah, we're gonna need a lot of builders because the more sugar that we can sell, the more luxuries we can sell, the more gold that we'll be eventually able to get utility from. So let's keep working on that. There we go. Okay, so now it works. Positioning looks good. Could use the setup for culture, so we can actually go ahead and we'll do that order. That looks pretty good. I like that. May not be optimal, but it's definitely not bad. I am so glad. I am so glad that is not another barbarian site on top of where we're living, because we have had enough this game. We have had enough of them. It'd be nice to get a break for a little bit. I actually want to work on my civilization, not have to constantly pause what I'm doing and deal with barbarians, because that has been a long-standing difficulty. We do have an amphitheater now, so that's good. Take a look at your great people. We are 4.6. It's going to go up a little bit, so that is very nice for us. Let's keep working on that, though. Let's keep working on stuff that we could do. Theater Square Festivals, very, very nice option right there that we could work on. Let's see, we are getting some good yields from this area. Very good yields. Wow. You know, I'm going to go ahead and set up there. I could use a very good campus right now, this game. I could very much use a good campus. Plus, a campus would be good. It would open up a little bit of flexibility for us to push the mid-game. Good. Bring this back. Bait that over. As long as it's not producing too many more units from that camp, we should be okay. Okay. I'm gonna have to think about walls now at this stage. Be kind of the only way we could work around the situation with these barbarians, because they have been absolutely the biggest thorn in the side of this game. So that looks good. No one's getting open borders yet. Of course, we're going to be getting surrounded. Of course, of course, of course. The fact I have to deal with these barbarians is the most absurd thing. If that survives, I can bring that over and then get the garrison going. Alright, what kind of military unit can I buy? Another archer. Not going to be able to do much. I hate that I'm wasting so much gold on having to deal with this. Like, this is the kind of difficult thing about barbarians, is they can really hurt a run. It's not like the game's not winnable anymore. It's just, it's a lot harder now because we were way more behind than we would have wanted to be. So I'm having to kind of use the eastern cities to push as much general infrastructure. And then the western cities, I'm having to just basically kind of fend this off and try to survive and not die. As is happening here. They're really under siege with one unit. That's amazing. Do that. Looks good so far. I'm glad that unit survived. Even though it's kind of dead anyways. Although I can move up here, attack that, move up there, promote garrison, have another unit that can do some damage. They're going to hurt this city badly, but if we can survive a little longer, we have the potential to still make this work. Just have to survive this onslaught, get walls going, get walls immediately built in these cities as quickly as possible, and then we'll have a better chance. Let's work on a monument for now. Or I'm just going to have that unit die, of course, because awesome. Dude, this is such a cursed run, man. Oh, like, enough already with the barbarians. Just stop, dude. That is that's so not fun to go against. Ah. God, I hate them. I actually hate barbarians so much. Problem is that there's nothing I could do. They just keep spawning faster than I could deal with them. Let's fucking buy more archers. Alright. Go. That's 2 turns, that's 3 turns, that's good. Very slowly working its way to getting done.
Each of us is carving a stone,
Oh,
erecting a column,
you know what?
or cutting a...
I am gonna re-roll. I'm going to go back a few turns because that's not fun. That's not fun for me at all. Getting that to happen. So I'm gonna go back a little bit, try to see if there's another way I can go about this. Because right now this is undoable. When that happens, that's undoable.
You have built great cities of stone and seen early empires rise and fall. Soon you will stand under the towering pinnacles of castles alongside your gallant knights. That is where the story of your people will be written. Just as the young apprentice learns to carry a sword, so shall you
We're going to spawn back in. We'll do a couple more turrets and see
world.
if we can try to make this work. Back down. Alright, so let's see how we can make this work. Probably the best defensive spot I could be in right there. I'm going to go ahead and work on this now. Just basically just buy as many of these as I possibly can. We can add as much as I can first, just to buy us a little time. That survived. Thank the gods. here. Alright, that unit is fine there. I need to deal with this first. So let's go ahead and very heavily weaken that. That way we can try to survive an attack. It shouldn't have enough movement to be able to move both over, so we can survive this. This is now a little more survivable. I can potentially make this work. A meteor shower. That could be useful. But I don't know if I can really be willing to waste my resources for that right now to get to that. Can I buy that? No, it's out of range. Okay, so looks like here's how we're gonna go about this situation here. So you attack that. And you attack that. Alright, this is more survivable. This is a little better. This is a little better. A couple turns away from masonry, good, because we immediately then start working on walls. That's the first thing we're going to do once we get started on that. There's another one of these guys. Lovely, lovely. And more of them. Yeah. As if 1 or 3 or 7 or 8 or 100 was enough. Attack the strongest one with that one. That area is workable. I gotta think. So if I do one attack here. Back that unit off a little bit. Also have them fortify a little bit. Please kill it. Good. So that's weakened. And then I'll back that over here just to be really safe away from it so that can't just cross over and kill us. That way we have a small chance.
When
Ooh,
wasteful
the flood
war
there
shall
actually helps a lot.
statues overturn.
Blood helps a lot. Okay, first things first. Immediately, walls. 100% walls right away. Alright. Alright, now we're cooking. Alright, we brought it up from a simmer to a nice medium boil. We're cooking a little bit. We're cooking a little bit. Now we have an opportunity to not be super dead, so this works for me. Doing many things I could do right now with industrial zones. I'm not in that position right now. Let's see here. Most of this stuff I can't really do much with. Forbidden City would be good eventually, but I'm going to need a lot more science before then. So let's just go middle tree for now. No interest in being a part of that war. Okay, that had to have died of all things, of course. Ah, dude, it's just, it sucks because there's nothing I can do about the constant onslaught of barbarians. That's why I'm trying to build walls now. It's just because they keep spawning faster than I could deal with. So what we need to do is just basically continue focusing on as many as we can. Now, what does more damage? That. So, get rid of that, get rid of that, get rid of that. Good. So that opens things up a little bit. That has enough XP for promotion now, I think. Yep. So we'll have level 2. We'll take one of the good promotions that we have options for. We'll go from there. All right. Well, we have gotten pretty far in this. 100 turns exactly on the marks. So we have done well to survive this, I guess, at this point. I mean, we have had a very cursed start to work with. Sometimes you will have games that look like this. You will have games that are just going to be very difficult with not a great start location. You're going to have games where you're getting bombarded by barbarians all games, and you're going to have to learn how to handle that. So this is going to help us manage that. And that is under Rebellion. That is potentially useful. That if we can get that city, that's good. Well, if you enjoyed watching this stream, I want to thank you so much. And for everybody that tuned in at any point in time in the streaming process, thank you guys so much. I really appreciate the support. It means the world to me. All right, everyone. Well, you have a wonderful night, and you all take care.